free for the Eclipse.
Oh, yeah. Does anyone have any questions from last week? Or from Monday? Not last week. Were they confused at all or anything? Or you guys are all good to? Oh, did you send it? Do you want to share on Skype and I'll put it on screen? See what it is? Everyone has access to the conversation, right? On Skype? Yeah. Oh, is it like a tutorial on using Eclipse?
Actually, it's for the beginner, it's free.
Oh. How are you guys feeling with Eclipse? Are you guys feel pretty comfortable or? Yeah, I guess what we'll do is we'll go through a quick run of just setting some basic preferences, and you'll import maybe so we all are on the same page. But I'll get all ahead of. Okay, so there's not much. Just we want to go through loop right before we get onto an exercise. There's three types of loops. Basically, a loop is where it iterates over and over for a certain duration until it's going to end. There's a for loop, a while loop, and a do while loop. For the three different ones, we'll start with the for loop. Basically, what you're going to do is you're going to initialize a certain variable, and that's what the first bracket is. So like for the first set right here, you're creating your initialization. They're going to have a condition, and that's where you're going to increment. So you possibly might, for most of the time you get a for loop, it's just setting a variable to like the letter I and start off with 0. Then as long as that maybe is less than 5, you'll have 5 iterations, and each time you'll increase that number by 1. So by the time it reaches 5, the loop will end. So for this example, it's going to print numbers. So for I equals 0, less than 10, it's going to perform it 10 times, each time incrementing I by 1. It's going to print out I of 1, I of 2, I of 3. Well, actually, it's going to print out I of 0. Oh, that should say it should I. It's going to print out I of 0, I of 1, I of 2, 3. The other form is the while loop. And what that's going to do is, while that condition is true, or evaluates as true, it's going to perform that loop. With there, you don't have initialization, and you don't have like an increment variable. And then there's an example right there, create numbers. And you're basically doing initialization right here, with bringing I to 0, and then after that, you're performing the operation and doing an increment right there. So they're pretty much the same concept, just laid out differently. The only one that's different is the do while loop, which basically it's going to perform the loop, it's going to perform whatever the operation is, and then after that, it's going to check the condition. So you guaranteed at least one iteration through the loop. And there's another example. You'll be able to try it out so you get a better understanding. The loops are like fundamental. So. All right, defining function methods in a class. So basically, you've been working with the main function public void main, and that's initialized the main core function of the application. So you have the access modifier, that's the public, the private, protected. We'll go over through exactly what those mean later on. Then you have the return type. So for a public static void main, the access modifier is public, so it's publicly available. And then the return type is going to be void, because there's no return type to the main function. And the function name is main, and for parameter list, you have your string art. And basically, every function is going to have a signature to it, and that method has to conform to it. Unless it's void, it doesn't return anything. And that's an example of public void set name. Function right here. So access modifier is public, return type is void, the name is set name, and it takes a string named NF. Sets the property name to whatever the task string NM is. And for this one, string get name to return the name. So basically, these are set and get methods, get and set methods. Most of the time when you have properties of a class, you want to get and set. Use get and setters. So we're going to do this exercise, but I want to try out the other exercise first. So we'll come back to this. I just want to go through setting the preferences in Eclipse first. So let me open up Eclipse. It's nice. If you sit down and really fine-tune your preferences and then you export them, every time you start a new workspace, you can import them and then just modify little details of it and not have to worry about resetting it and changing it. So we're not going to go through everything, but there's really a lot of detail. Like you can really set a lot of detail, like colors, and go crazy with it. So if you go to Eclipse, Preferences, I think it's File Preferences in Windows. What is it in Preferences? Window Preferences. Thank you. So we're not going to go through everything, but basically, if you want it to automatically save, you can set a save increment, and that's the one I'm showing there. Whereas it automatically saves every 5 minutes. And that's going to be under your general tab. Under text editor, which is going to be under editors. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, it depends on what, I mean, there's a lot of other things you can change too. I'm going to go through some of the key ones that you might want to do right away. The tab width is kind of like what you mentioned, and that's going to, if you look at the left, you'll see that it's highlighted under general, under editors, under text editors. And one is going to show line numbers. Just to save you guys, just to let you know too, I'll be giving you a preference file that you can import. It's still on the same page. But just to show you where it is, so you guys know. Are you guys familiar with Evernote? Or Evernote? Evernote? It's very useful. You can do a lot of these things I did, screen captions and stuff. Not just that, you can gather your notes a lot of times. I use it all the time, but it actually creates a database too of all your notes. So if you actually start putting code up there, and one day you want to search, you can search a whole database of notes. It's very useful. I mean, it's out of scope of this, but I'm just trying to mention it just to say that I find it handy all the time. But I can show it to you guys if you guys want. But it's something that's I find really valuable. You can even send, if you have like an email, you can forward it to an email address that they give you, and it automatically archives in your databases. But they allow you to do certain things like quickly take a screen capture and then do whatever kind of highlighting or writing on it. Let me know if you guys want me to wait or anything. So this is another thing, if you want to access all your workspaces, because over time you can have all your workspaces, you change your workspace all the time. You can have a list of all your different workspaces that are registered into the application and change the number of workspaces that it's in your recent memory. So like for me, our default, it only keeps 5. But if you would want to keep 20 of them, depending on how active you are and what so right now we have my workspace under documents. And really, if you take your workspace and you save it on a disk, and you go into another, you can just add that workspace to the computer. So if you want to keep your workspace on a USB stick, you're able to do that. Okay, this is the fun part. Adding because you always want to make sure your files are really properly documented, you can go ahead and create your default comments. So you don't have to go and remember, oh, I need to include this, that, and you can have your defaults there. Because it's going to become important, and we're going to go back to talking about the Java class and how you automatically make reference documents to all your work that you're working on. So having this where it actually defaults, enters in information for you, it's going to be valuable. So that way, when you start your file, all this stuff is already there. And you create a new class that adds these details. So like your file name is going to take the file name and put it right there. For users, you can just type in your name, or you can use a user variable. It's probably easier to change your name, but if you want to set what the user variable is, you have to really modify the configuration. So I'm going to recommend your name. Whatever, you can add those different items to it. And date, you can fix the date variable, so that's what the current date is. I don't know, by default, you probably have I don't know what the name is.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Or is it, there's nothing there, but just go ahead and add all that. Put it on top. Here, I'm going to give you a file so you can import it. That way there's information to your file too. And some of them is like just the file properties. So every file separately that you open, it's going to have that at the top of the file. For like type, every time you add a class, it's going to say what type it is, and you'll be able to like leave space to add your field in your method, or detailed of what your class is going to enable. Your author name, what version you're working with. And I think now this is the last. This one is a little more complicated to get to, but basically your screen width and where you want to cut off. So for me, I have 120 set up. So depending on what your screen size is, you probably want to adjust that based on your resolution and screen size, so you can see. You base that's where the cut line is. So there's a lot of different properties you can play around with. But that one main number, which is going to be under, I think it's called line wrapping. That way your screen will wrap to that. Because basically you can have it every time you save to automatically format your whole file. So if you start getting your indentations all messed up, it'll nicely, every time you hit save or every 5 minutes, it's going to format your file to whatever your preference is. So it saves you from, if you go too many tabs, or it's going to, every time it saves, it's going to change everything to the right format. This is one that, basically, so I can remember to always put in my Java doc, it's going to give me a little warning. It's going to, so everything's still going to run. It'll give you a warning that, hey, you're missing a documentation on this item. And also one other thing, every time you add like a to-do, backslash to-do, and a little line after that, you're going to have a whole like task list. So as you work, if you're working on something, oh, I need to come back to change this later on. If you put backslash to-do, you'll get it added to a list. So you'll have a to-do list. Now you can have a generic, I just keep on adding to-dos, but you can also create your own custom one. Like maybe it's not as important, so you might want to say, you have to add documentation, so you can add a certain command to make it easier so you know to go back to that. This is your installed Java runtime environment. It'll show you where your runtime environments are installed in your system and which one currently has as a default. Because every time you create a new Java project, those libraries get stored into the file, and depending on which version you want to include, it'll be your default. That's kind of where you'll see it. And that pretty much sets like the main core preference areas where you might want to change. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you my preferences. And I don't know if you want to import those. Maybe export yours currently, and then import mine. And then we'll all be on the same, with the same preferences. Does it sound like a good plan? I don't know if so if you want to export them first, that way in case you're not comfortable in it, with it automatically saving maybe, or you want to go back to the way it is now, you'll go export it first. So I'll go ahead and show you how to export it, so we can export what our current settings are. Is that too small? That's pretty small. Let me do that. So you're going to go to File, or I'm sorry, Eclipse, or Windows Preferences. And oh yeah, that's after you set it. So after you set it, File, Export. And under Windows, I think it's File Export too, right? And so for there, you're going to select under General tab, the Preferences. and then next. And here you have an option to either select all or individually select them. A lot of times you don't want to select install Java runtime environment just because they might be different based on your system. So that's one you might want to unselect, but all the other ones I think you can safely select. You have the option too of when you import them, which ones you want to import. Yeah. Actually, you weren't on here. Now it's fine. You were just then you go to general, and then oh, you don't have all the yeah. Oh, it might just be because I have that enterprise edition. But when you import it, you do it. Yeah, that's an option. Keep copy. I think it's all. Yeah. It's the version I think I reinstall. Put that in mind. Oh, yeah. I have like everything installed. Well, we'll go ahead and see what it brings up if we need to be
From the preference file, I don't have any link there. There's the down page, there's the preference file, yes, there.
because you're going to set your location. So where do you want to save? So you do have that, right? Where you can browse where you want to save it.
Okay, I don't have any, so I can't.
Oh yeah, you're supposed to, anywhere you want to save your preferences. I say mine in the browser. Sure, I guess you can easily import my preferences from what I use to work with you. Or you can always back. Yeah, anywhere. It's just to show you how to export them and to import them. So then when your preferences, before maybe you might be working on a different computer, and you just want the same settings that you use. And will it essentially do this one? Yeah. And now whatever name, you might want to say like my whole preference. So the next step is we're going to import preferences. So I just want you guys to go back and what your preferences are. It's pretty much going to be this, because it doesn't install the clip, it's going to be pretty much the same preferences that, the original preferences that when you download. So I think you have, there's a change here, right?
Yeah, I changed my preference.
So now when you import everything, you can copy everything along. There you go, that's it.
Okay.
But you'll have your old ones along with that. And every time you create a new workspace, you can go ahead and import, or like you can, when you create a new workspace, you can say, well, copy my settings to the new workspace. So then you would just, yeah, I don't need to save mine. Yeah. What I'll do is, can I pass files over with Skype? No. Yeah, actually, I put them in the Dropbox already, so you might have them on your systems already. But it's going to be default preferences EPS. I'm going to pass it over into Skype to see if you want it there as well. So that's going to be the file that we're going to go ahead and import them. Yeah, I did. Oh, it gave me a big X. What's that? Let me see what oh, pending. I guess you have to accept it? Do you have to accept it when I send it in?
So the way you would import them is the same thing as exporting, but this time import. Importing works for not just preferences, but you'll see later on projects and stuff. You can import a whole project into Eclipse. So you'll go under General and Preferences to import. See all the little blue squares on the right-hand side on my plot? Like, if you, there's all those little blue boxes.
Yeah.
The blue boxes are to do, and the yellow ones are warning, and reds are bad. But we'll look at those again. Yeah.
In the normal.
Oh, this is over there, but I cannot do that. Okay, here.
Click on that. There's the desktop. Now, click on desktop.
The substance and create solution, this is the folder. This is.
No, this is the desktop. See? Desktop. See, let's take the desktop.
I mean, this is a create solution folder on my desktop.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So, this is the my create solution.
Well, we make sure.
This is.
Oh, you're right.
This is software.
SQA solution. Let's go back to.
Okay. So the,
No, you're not here.
No, I tried to send it to my Dropbox. I tried to do that.
Does it say? You're over there.
Yeah. You really need to hear what kind of file it is.
Is everyone having a problem with the file taking it from the hard drive?
Did you see your file? The very.
Save the check. It's not even in the stage here.
Yeah.
Just wondering,
It should check this, for the very same. You said Dropbox, right? I mean,
no.
no, okay. So, because I could say, I don't know, I think so, I cannot see.
Yeah, it's strange.
No, I was whether I was not say on the phone, not there. No, I just.
Which is strange. I don't know what. Maybe I'll get it.
It's just my service, right? I said my service.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Well, I don't want to listen.
Okay. And then I don't know.
Oh, forget it. Something go to Eclipse.
I think
So you think those are no. You go to here.
it should be here.
And then file. Entity.
I think here.
And then general. And then you're going to choose preference.
I don't know.
and then you'll hit next, and you're gonna rotate that. Are you able to see it when you?
Just send it to this.
Yeah. Okay, now when you import, yeah. And then you hit finish. Now you're gonna notice that if you hit like, let's say, so let's say I was just for some reason, I did that. And then tab. See now that it's off, right? And it's meant to try to save it. Let's just put that. But like, I think you didn't see all the warnings before. So those are because of my purpose is how you want it. So basically they are, so if you actually go to file new, and then go to new class. And then let's say you put you put in my class. Okay. Yeah, enter. You know, now actually click that stuff on the stuff line is kind of crazy. But you'll notice that all these are all the okay, that's right. Oh, names put in there. Oh no, it's not that. See where it says first and last name? We're gonna want to go ahead and change that. But I'll show you how to do that. So they want to put in, oh. And
Let's see.
is this really too dark?
I don't have a, yeah.
Is it dark? Do you want to use mine? It's not that.
Oh, you have an extra one?
Yeah. I was hoping my computer was dying. Okay. Check all the data over there, right? Yeah. Because I know what you would want to import, but if you import all of it right there, you can import all. Or you can select an image. But import all, basically check those. So yes. You're all good? Figure out how I use you guys are good? So the only thing now is
If you go and you create, now you're going to create a new file. I think it's going to be a little different now, but let's go to create a new file. So file, new, and then class. Oops. Usually your source, I don't know if you guys know this, but source folder, if you're from here and you don't select anything on the left-hand side, if you don't select anything on the left-hand side and you go to File, New, Class, then it's going to ask you where your source folder is. But if you select the folder you're working with and go to File, New, it's going to know where you want to put your source file. So you don't have to input that. And then it's put Is everyone good? Okay. So now we'll try the for loop exercise. Everyone ready for that one? If we go back to the slide, so this will, you want to start a new class for this one, and hopefully get in the habit of being able to create a class and getting your public static void main being the main function that executes, and then having it do whatever functionality you need. So a lot of times you might want to just start a class, put your public static void main, and just have it do a system out, like hello world. Hello world's like the basis of any kind of programming language, like to create a program. So you kind of maybe want to get that step and know it's at least up and running, and then from there, go ahead and do the functionality. So you'll want to just do that, create a new class, add your public static void main, do a system out, and then after that, all you're going to want to do for this exercise is create a loop. So if we go back to the slide, I'll put the exercise on the board. You're going to want to create a loop that's going to count 1 to 100. So it needs to do a system out and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 100. So you might want to start with the hello world. So it says hello world, and then we want it to count to 100. So it's going to do a loop, and when it gets to 100, it's going to stop. So that's what your obstacle is. This is for you to, and if you could use the for loop, which is the one that's on the screen, and try to see if you can implement that loop. Yes. And if anyone needs any help with anything, just let me know.
Okay. You want to call it? Yeah. I can close it out, read it, and we're gonna keep it moving. Okay. Then I go file on you.
It loops again. And it's probably sure that easy to select public text. That's the one thing that connects to it, right? If you ran something different than a job application, then so now you know that you could have just added that method, but if you select it on that, it's a method. So now in there is where you're going to want to create, that's for your name. You do it simple way, you could create a function and then call that function. But really all you want to do is you want to output from that right there, we want to create right there, and then count it over here. So start by going system out, saying hello world. Oh, for system out, you do system dot out. And then you'll want to use the for part. If you could create the method print number, and if you wanted to, and then call that method, but you don't need to. You can just do that functionality. Instead of print, you probably want to print line element. Print will print, but it won't add, it won't put it on the next line. So, and then, now I have to close it for hello world. So the first thing, and then now I'll close hello world. But you need to put it close. You don't put it close, it doesn't work. So that's kind of what you want to do all the time, just to keep yourself going, knowing that it's running, knowing that everything's set up for it. If you're at that step, you have to do it. Now run it. And it's working, you're getting it on the world, now you're ready to implement the loop. So, you need to do four parts of what you want. Up to the four, between the four and the bracket, there's the size of the bracket. What you want to do. Error. We're gonna option number one and option number two, and set it to the result chain. Oh, look, and next time you have that problem, if you go here, you click on it, it's gonna tell you, do you want to cast it or do you want to change the type? And this is which one? Yeah, so change, and now you return the code, you're all good, save, and run it. So make sure that you're I don't want you to. Oh, errors. 3 errors. We'll see the errors. Oh, you're running the wrong one. Run. Go in your yeah, you're there and stuff like that. Yeah. And then oh, because of the aging. So you could use that too. Next time you do it, you go back to it. And then you click it here if you want. And then hit proceed. Because it's not supposed to do that at all. So the tracking, 207, 125, 300, so you're not doing anything right. So go back to the top. Most of that comes up okay, because you're doing that. So here is, you want that, you want that, so you have to probably most time is maybe that's not get do we have the to track, the add to track, and then multiply things up with 1 times off of 2, the result to this, so let's check what's happening in there. So we hit command and click on that, and it brings the function. Now the double the result, we put offering double 1, find offering double 2, and then Now go back here, you do this, this is right. Resolve this is wrong here. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. Big number. Okay, you just need to do the divide. The divide would, yeah, you go back. Now for this one, we're gonna close the details. You're doing what was on board, but I wanted to do it for more like what you're comfortable with and strength and doing, as if you would work on any project. So we're just gonna close it in, reading it, okay? Okay, so we're gonna like start from scratch. So anytime you work on a project, the first thing you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna create a new class. So you'll go to file and get, you'll go to file and get class. Now, if you see this right next to it says public stack void, if you put it there and you run a job application, it's gonna run the public stack void name. Exactly because that's the main, that's like the main entry. The technology I call it loop. And then now you create it, it can create your framework. So this is like, okay, you have a class going, now you wanna make sure everything's running. So what we're gonna do is put some out in there. So we're right there with to do. Hit enter. And now, this is system out. So you can do system out as in out. Actually, the easiest way to do it is actually take out, and then you hit control and save. Like that. Let me try it out. Just quit. Control and save. That's what I'm doing. So now add in hello or hello. Anything you want, just know that in your code. Okay, so now you're gonna see what the problem. There. So when you feel comfortable, let them help you. They'll help you. You could do all those things that actually matter in the product. You actually want to put a quote in practice, but it would tell you these would actually solve the problem, but you could just use quotes. But like if you try it, try the first one, and you'll see what it does. Okay, now it's creating that constant, so both can be avoided. That actually solves the problem here, but so delete that and just add the quote. But by seeing what happened, it might help you try to figure out what's going on. So add a quote. And all right. Okay. I mean, you don't. No, yeah. Oh, single character. I don't even know what that means. It's a job description. Never mind. So now you know it's right, everything's okay up to this point. Now what you want to try to do, you want to try to implement this loop. So you really only want to implement these services. This line right here. So try to add this line and place it your hello world. But here you do system.out print line. You can start off by just typing this whole thing and just here put hello world and do baby steps. Because if you do baby steps and keep on growing and growing to the right, it helps you along the process.
In that mission, create a little system, since I'm very,
And actually, if you notice, on that one, it says one.
oh, yeah.
Don't call it. Good try. What's that? It's, like, even numbers is like 2, 4.
Okay, oh, sorry, okay,
You're good. Correct. You're not getting it. Wait, you don't get 1. So for I equal to 1, and I is less than 10, and I is less than 101, I is increasing, I put I plus I. Actually, you know what we're doing to over to A, actually, this whole thing of while loop, you only go into for loop, and you're adding a while loop for loop. But you actually read all of that, and it'll work. You might put that extra again. It is, but then you're gonna, we'll go over it for it. Because if you decided 4 loops, you can have more 4 loops, another 4 loops. But it would be really, because each time you'd be iterating, like a lot of times you'll see code, they use I and then they use J. Because J has another loop like I. So when you create an array, you have all these dimensions, and you go through the first dimension and second dimension, but we're just taking with the forward to get you there. And then maybe after you've done with the for loop, see if you can come up with a while loop. The while loop, and then a do while loop. That's gonna be good. Right. Okay. Okay, so now you're doing all the, what if you actually, instead of here, you set a print line, you do the print. What a print line does is add the line. So if you do print and add actually, you're adding the line. Maybe it's daily. Then now try. You'll notice that you can actually get it all better. Oh, yeah, too late. It's just a matter of, okay. You understand how to do it. Just show you that. Oh, we're talented. Are we doing good? And now you're trying to do it. Well, check some is what you're trying to get it to go. Just some of it. Okay, try whatever you want to do. So after you that, you want to do, when you try to put them, on the same line, that's the line you need to do. But then after you do that, try to do even number. And then after that, try to do one instead of 4. And then after, or just a while. And after do one. So you know all 3 loops. So basically from the line to 4 is the type of loop it is. So string is this, but right here, instead of the low row, I'm going to add 4 loops up. So a neat thing is when you do 4, and you still don't have that. Oh, maybe that's why you don't have it. It's because you have the keyboard set up. Oh, can you turn that off? I mean, you don't have to, but just to see if that's what it is. Be nice to know. Can it be this one off? Maybe it's easy to do again. Maybe it's just that to tackle. Would that be the one? I don't know. Probably. I would think. Oh, no, that is. Wait, no, you want option. Oh, you know what, I can't. I want to figure it out, like, I don't want to mess with you. But, if you do four, it's a lot of people, what it does is you should get, how to implement it, so it gives you a feedback. Which I choose to do. Yeah. Okay, we'll just type it. I'm gonna figure out. So for this, the way the form is, the first part, should I call it? Now, how do you visualize? What do you want? If you notice the first part is saying, okay, we're gonna take a variable, ensure, supposed to be I, is the correct one. Let's take ensure I, so that implies that I, okay, this is what the value is. Then on the left, the next one after saying, okay, let's check this condition. So as long as I is less than 10, meaning it's gonna happen 10 times, because it's gonna go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, it's gonna say, it's gonna keep on that. Then when that condition, once it's I is not less than 10 anymore, so that's the condition. The middle is the condition. The first part is the initialization, then the condition, and then the last part is the increment. So it's incrementing I each time. That little operator, that plus, you take 1 is equal to +1. So you would copy the same thing. So yeah, and then colon. Oh no. Oh. It's only that on the local I is equal to 0. Yeah, I think you guys did equal to 1, and then it made more useful to be equal to 1, and then you have the options of putting on 1 or I equal to 0, and then you also have the option to check less than 100 or less than or equal to 100. That was it. Or you can do less than 101. So you have the more standard and the world way people most of the time do it is I equal to 0, and as long as I is less than 1. That's what you're seeing more most of the time. You do have to have one stability. Yep, you're doing right. Yeah. And then now is your condition. And so it's going to be as long as I is less than or equal to 1. Oh, I got it. Correct. Yeah. 100, yeah. So it's going to execute because it's going to be 0, right? So that's why. If you were going to put I at 1, you have to be less than or equal to. And now you need to. So we need increment I. If you did I minus 1, you have to be. No. So now, in here, just to see if it's running right, you can do a system out. Just to see if it's running. And if you were to do that, and save it and run it, you get a high. So now, go ahead and set up pi, which is I. And maybe add a comma to it. And you can do plus. So, now what? And you go 0, but you want to print from 0 to 100, so it's not less than 100. I'll let you pick. So it's supposed to answer 100, right? Yeah, read 1 to 100, not 0 to 100. So pretty much what you do is if you did here I, you I plus 1, like you do I plus 1. Oh, so it would be I. Yeah, if you wanted to, you could do, you could do I plus one, plus a comma, or you could do.
Okay, one.
Name here, there's a lot of different things.
So it's supposed to be from the one.
Yeah, 1 to 100, then you want to do it where you're going to write huge numbers. No, okay, so I is equal to plus 1, so that's why I'll put that. But look, again, you can do it 10 times, which is good, your loop's running 10 times. So you're getting there, now let's change it to 100. And save, and now right now. Oops. Okay, now, you actually don't put on now it's 105, so we're getting it. Now, what your information you're trying to put them out, you're passing the string this, but you're getting close because you want this, then you want to actually pass the arrow, not string, because this is a string, so you want to pass the arrow over line. Now you're let's see what the problem is. We just have to modify it.
So I have to say, if you want one.
I'll take it. What's that?
The one.
Yeah. But, hold on a second. There's a 0 there. I just want 0. Yeah. Okay? I had an energy drink and I had to take it like it was my time right there. I bought it brand new. The week after I bought it, like $3,000. I broke the whole energy drink on the keyboard. So the first thing I did is I turned it upside down. I left it like off for like a day. But then I turned it back. I messed up the keyboard still messed up in it. But when I brought it back to the office, they wanted to charge me $2,000 to fix it. So so that's ridiculous. Like this doesn't make any sense. So I actually took it all apart myself, cleaned out the whole thing, and fixed it all apart. Bought hard drive and something else out. And this is it. But yeah, I had to replace it. So, and it's 600, but compared to they wanted to charge me $3,000. My keyboard light works. My light actually works, but when I replaced it, I cut the wire.
You can put the.
Yeah, I can use it on the keyboard. The one thing that they were knowing about, when I went to bring it to them, they want to charge me $2,000. Okay, no. So what if I just downgrade the hard drive and, do, maybe not replace certain parts, if they want to change all my, because the fact that it would get rusted. They said no, there was no option. I had to do exactly as I thought and have the same spec. So that's why I was like, I'll fix it myself. And then.
So you're $2,000.
But yeah. It didn't make any sense to repair. Might as well still buy new. Yeah. So I went for repair. I was like, then I repaired it myself. Which made more sense. And it works fine. It works fine.
So it goes from 1 to 100 or from.
Yeah, 1 to 100.
So it's supposed to be 0. It's supposed to be 0.
No, 1 to 1. Because your A is equal to plus A, and A is, oh, we're going to. But, they want to 100, great. And then when you run it, what happens? Okay, everything's good. It's not, it would tell you if it's going on. So now you want, oh wait, wait a minute, it's working. 74, 76, 78, 80. you're executing what? With the like if you go here, you're going to, oh, you're doing it for each time, you're doing it now. You're doing it 100 times. You're doing it. This is why indentation. Yeah, he found that. I thought it was.
There's one where
No, what the code is actually doing, is this is the actual real format of the code.
But in this case, we don't hear because that's loop.
Yeah, right here, she's going for 100 times, so 10 times, she's executing this. So that's 10 times 10, so there's 100 different, because inside the page.
Yeah, so should be. Oh, yeah.
But the indentation, I thought it had preference to be able to. It should save and for do the whole formatting, but at any point, though, just in case it's not able, just do this with the word. The first word. It's up. And click on format. Now it's going to make all your conditions right. Because if you would have did that, you would have thought automatically that your new is fighting. So if you run it down the middle, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or 9. Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. They want you to. As long as you know the difference.
Yeah, it should be long, actually.
Well, that's not that. It's confused. Okay, now.
So it should be,
You could do a couple. You could either do +1, like we were just talking about, and then you do so I guess the way that you get it is for I is equal to 1. In this case, I is equal to 1 and I is less than or equal to 100. So you understand what's going on, then it's going to execute. So now it should run first. Yeah, because it is, if you understand, this is as long as I is less than and equal to 1. In the other case, it's only going to, if I do less than, it's only going to execute 99 times. But if I put this equal to 0, it's going to execute 101. No, 100. This would be 100. This is 100 times. But we would have to add the 1 here to represent it as that. So this would work too. So either of those work, and you're both resolving. But because of what they're asking, you might want to start with 1, and then as long as it's less than equal to 100, you don't have that. Now your next obstacle is to make it to print even numbers. And there's 2 ways to do that. You can use a switch statement. No, that's confusing. But do a switch statement, so check it out. So this is that would take a while. If you do you could do an if statement, there's an if check if the number is divided with 2, or let me try to figure out the best way. I equals 0. Then it is 2, 100. So we don't want 1, 2, Yeah. From there. Perfect. Now you want to do the same thing, but see your indentation here is not correct. It should be exactly one more. You can easily just go with this and that count. But if you look for format, it's going to clean it all for you. So everything can actually good. So then you know that you can actually just copy this and then paste it. And now this time, we want to print the only ingredient. And if again on this one here, just because we have it one after the other, well, we can do this. Make it I, and then I, and then after that we're gonna do a comma. So now it's gonna add that after every time it shows you a value of 5, it's gonna add a comma. It's gonna add the I, the next value. So if you run it now, you could always make it easy on that, just like that. You can have it all need to say. Now it's gonna improve. Okay. And copy it. And then here, if you want, make them more readable. So the difference is with the print, it doesn't make a new line. If you print line, it'll actually print line. And another way, you actually do backslash n from any string, it does a line. That backslash n means a line. So even if you don't do line, but you do this inside and this inside, it'll do that line. So if you run that, even this. So but you need to correct it. You need to figure out how we're going to be able to print. Instead of just printing this, you're going to maybe do you want to do an if and check what the value of I is. And if for some reason that's an even number, print it out. If it's not an even number, don't print it out. Did you do the other route?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, so
Oh, okay, so you want one?
yeah. Oh, they come down. Right? Okay. So if you want to try the vowels, I'll touch the screen and put on the vowels. So it's the same information, but they're gonna try out, and you don't have to do each regular number. But you don't want to stay there. You want to stay there. If you do it there, it's gonna be inside.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah, it's gonna happen 100 times. That's like doing your lesson. How do you? How we doing? Let's see. Questions we take it down.
There's, I just want to show you the difference between there's print and print line. If you notice, there's two methods. You can do system out print line, which is that one, the print line, or you can do just print. If you just do print, it's not going to add a line to it. So it's basically going to say the result is blah. Then the next line that comes after is going to be glued to that. So if I don't have this. But if you add the ln, it says after it does it, it's printing it, it's adding a line. Now, the same thing, if you wanted to use just print, you can add your own lines wherever you want. And that you would use an escaped character, which is \n. So if I add these, and I put these all in here, it's going to add these, and it's going to say character term, new line. So pretty much I'm getting a lot of lines over here. So when I run this inside after when it does the addition, it's gonna see all these lines over here? Does everyone get that, how it's an escape line right here? So I didn't use print line. So whenever you're formatting, if you're outputting your code, instead of using print line or you want to use print, you could use just print, but add your own lines. In reality, doing system.out is, basic for just outputting your code, but you should be using the debugger and working with that way. But for now, using system.out is kind of your way of debugging, because you're outputting value and stuff. But as you get used to JUnit too, you'll be creating you won't be working with public static void main, but having your having JUnit call those different methods. Okay, what was that?
Yeah, this is the module is, so, this is saying log n is less log less than 26. And it's a cool thing to do selections like that, and you get, oh no, so if you select it, and you, oh yeah, so if you have to print a lot of columns out, hit command and backslash on up. So, you want to show this, but I should use it. But so yeah, we're going to comment this out now. And so we're printing out blah, blah, blah. Well, now we don't remove the print out that. We're not going to do anything. But we're going to check if a condition. So if, so for you would use it, let's say if I is less than 10, it's going to only print it out when the number is I, the condition only that condition is true. We're going to do it 10 times, but it's not going to be the number. So if you say if I is equal to 2, then you do the dot out. Oh, sorry. And then your I plus zero. So when you run that, what's going to happen in that case? So if we have here, it's going to, I is equal to 1, and so you know it's going to go from 1 to 100, well, 1 to 100. But now it's going to check if for some reason I is equal to 2, it's going to print it out. So when we do run it, it actually only uses 1, because it just shows it. It's just, yeah, but you don't want that. You want to print out whenever it's, whenever that occurs. This actual operand modulo does, if this is whenever divided by 2, if for some reason divided by 2 is 0, then that's going to be true. So whenever this is equal to the, so basically we run that. Okay, one module 2. Okay. So if it's equal to, so let's say it's 80 divided by 2. Divided by 2 is has 0 there. That's what module is. So now if you did module 3, you get over, divisible by 3 numbers. Is equal to 0. Those are all numbers divisible by 3. But if you do divisible by 10, that's how we do it. Got it? Now try to do it. What? Oh, honey sausage?
post office.
Okay.
Post office. But, I mean, good. If you see this, remember, source, format. I'll show you some stuff that where you are at. So you might be able to understand that. There's stop. Now that one, I don't know what that one is. You want to get this out, and then now format it. Or it's really one in here. And format it. That kind of helps you along the way. If you like to figure out.
So that means,
No, this is really good. Although, some people off your raw loop. This right here, you actually don't have to have two types of braces. Because there's only one line happening here, you don't need the braces. But just because it's good form and like to have the braces and it's less confusing, we will put it. Because it just makes it like stuff. And I'll just sort format again. Just make sure everything's in line. That becomes your friend. So now we see kind of what it is. And that actually is pretty good. So what happens now when you run it? Oh, okay. So J is, well, J is letter and print out J. What do you think is happening there? If J is equal to 0, right? J is equal to 0. Now, while it's less than 10, we're going to print it out. Well, hold on. So you print, so right now it's 0.
yeah.
You print out J is equal to 0, comma. Okay. Now the next time around, what is J? Yeah, so you can either do a couple. You do J, and right underneath it, do J plus 5. No, because then it has inside the right here. Yeah. The next is line after that. That you would end up printing it out with 4 or you could do this. Yeah, you could do this. That would be really good. Well, yeah. Well, just try it out and see what happens. And then semicolon down the right. Now you can. You will get something so you have it 10. But look, you're starting at 2. So
But huge. And this is,
okay. So yeah, that's before. So there is different lines if you want to print them. You can do it. I'm going to show you this. I don't know if you remember. To do that, the panel and control C. No, not the case. So if you actually do this, I'll show you the case one. You'll print a line. Well, that will print 2 lines. You have that line. Let's just add that there to you'll have your remember. So now when you run it, you should be able to line it over there. Yeah. And even you could play around with that. You could have put I at the end, and then you could play around with that, right? But just as long as you understand it.
actually, the wild and the wild. This is my Bible.
Great.
The wild.
You, then it does love. Yeah. And that's what I'm thinking of it. We're thinking that, right? I'm sure I put you with you. Okay.
I have really fun again.
Yeah, that's it, that's it. Yeah, they're good. How? I need to show it. No, yeah, show it. Command. Okay. Yeah, it's a good one to have. So he doesn't work on him, he has to keep working. How are you? The last, the formatting. Now we are going to mention that formatting is, so remember to go to doors. And just whenever you do your, And you may understand that the main difference in do well and while is if you do while, then no matter what, you do the rate, you do the loop before you check the condition. Whereas a while you check the condition, then you keep on with it. It's possible to do a while and never execute, and when you do a do while, you know you're guaranteed at least one execution. So I think if do while, you can visualize stuff, set things up. Okay, so you basically here for 100 times you print it out even. So here you're printing out, you count it. Over here, you print out 100 times even. Now what you want to do is you only want to print out if the number is even. So you want to print off. So you want to print I, just like the other one, but only if it's even. But only if it's even. So over here, you want to surround this. So if for some reason a condition is true, then we want to print it. So if you say, all right, well, that condition is I is equal to 2. Now what do you think is going to do? What do you think is going to print out? We can take this whole thing and we're just going to calm it out. And one cool way to calm it out is you hit command or control and this backslash. You hit command and the backslash will actually comment the whole part out. So now we won't have the other stuff execute. But so what do you think is going to print out of the number? All the even numbers? So let me try it out. We only get 2. The condition is I equals 2. Now, so basically what you want to do is there's another operator that's called module. So now I module 2 or module 6 is equal to 0. So if that's true, then we're going to print it off. So now if we run it, because all the numbers should be 0 by 6. Now do it to where all the numbers are 0 by 6. This is an even number. So how do we change it around to get it to print out? Instead of print out numbers that are 0 by 6, print out all the even numbers. 2, 4, 6, 8. What's that? Oh, yeah, okay. How are you? Yeah, not great. Okay, you're just going to do so actually, you're joining. So this is for I, so I will do this right here. Cut. And now after you do this, do next. So do 100. You kind of want you to do this. So first, if we're going to that's actually so now we're setting on equal to 0. Now do while I'm up again. So now you're saying I equal to 1.
Now, you're gonna do this as long as the condition is true. If you run this, you'll get the close part, number which is, correct, you're doing it 4, 10 times. You're just not, you want to change that, change it to a count of 10, not to go to 9. So how would we do that? You want it's going to do it, it's going to do that. So here, you want to count 10. Not just 1 to 9, you want to do 1 to 10. Or 1 to 100. But include the 10. To get even numbers? Oh, those are okay. Even numbers are going to be 2 divided by 2. Okay. So the next thing you'll want to do is try to make this out. The other loops are there's a while loop and a do while loop, which is so that's the while loop, and then that's the do while. So you just want to get familiar with those two.
That's the question. This is just give an example where we need to do what.
Oh, it really it depends on what you're when you start creating applications, but most of the time you're doing it for I and integer I equals 0 and during an iteration and going over through that loop. Whereas a lot of times you're going to use that to go through an array. We're going to talk about arrays in the next class, and then you're going to want to iterate through the whole array. So you're going to check the length of the array, and you're going to go through the integer is equal to 0, and then for whatever size the array is, you're going to go through each element and maybe set it to a value. So that's when you're going to want to use, the for, the I. Whereas when you're doing and it really depends on situations that you're going to use. More in that class, you're using the regular for, it's the most popular one. But you can also, maybe if you're just checking while a condition is, while a certain value is equal to something, or you just want to always go through as long as condition is true. It's not necessarily counting.
You can only length or how many times we need to use the loop. So it's for loop is more, useful in that.
Yeah, in the number, and when you know the number.
You don't have to do length of the array or.
Well, maybe you might not be working. That's for so the first one's more case you're working with the length like an array. Whereas when a while, maybe you're just checking conditions. Maybe you're going through the whole array, and as long as I is equal, it's less than 100, and then during the while loops, you're always incrementing and incrementing, maybe plus 5, plus 10, plus 6. As soon as you hit, like maybe it's a score of a video game, as soon as you hit over 100 points or 100 over 100 amount of HP, like power and like health, then the person dies. So as long as they still have health, you're going to keep them alive, but as soon as they increase and go over that amount of health, then they die. So that's why while they're still, still have energy left. So you're not really iterating through the number sequence. But then the do while, basically if you want to at least perform once, no matter what, you want to at least do the loop once, use do while. Because no matter what, for do while, you're going to execute the loop. Whereas if you do while, you may never execute the loop.
For instance, do while. For instance, if I'm testing a web page and I want to check if the user is signing or not, for instance, I will check this in any condition. So this is where I use do while.
No, because that's not really an iteration. When you're on the web, you don't really always.
There is no iteration.
Yeah, so that's no iteration. You're not going to make a loop. Because if the system you're using resources for no reason to keep on checking it. So you check them when they come active the page. Then maybe every 20 minutes, you're checking to see if their session's active. But really, that's getting really technical in a different area.
Okay.
But it wouldn't, that wouldn't be a good example of it. The do while and the while, the main difference between those is checking a condition, but for the do while, and it's not very popular to use do while either, but it's more you want to at least execute that loop once. A lot of times maybe there's initialization in that loop, and you want to at least execute it once to continue on. Whereas the while you may never, like, well, depend, not really helpful in a good example. But in certain, I can't think of one like that. Yeah, you'll get more, we'll have more examples. They're popular pieces of so we're going to be using them a lot, so you'll have a chance to. So is everyone comfortable with everything so far? It's not too. Oh, yeah.
Yep, one, yeah. Yep, now you get one. The other one I'm going to do while the stack is it does a loop at least once, then it checks the condition. Or a while checks the condition and then does the loop. So if you can go ahead and try to do whatever you do, make sure you understand it. But if they go ahead and do it, yeah, you can do a while too, right? So if you want to do while as well. Oh, no. It's because you did it inside. But I think you understand. Harry. Oh, you want to try out do while? Okay. So you want to try it, all right, that's on the list. But, so you'll do a while. And actually, if you do and then you see how you come up with that, they'll actually give you their own pattern. So you can actually see which one you want. So like that's the one you wanted, but just those conditions. So open-minded is how you format it. So you create the and J equals 0. Then Y. And like that, and that's the file. The only other one is a do while, which I guarantee that we want execution. Oh. J is less than 0. Yeah. I think that. So can you see what's going on? So that is wrong. And J is not J. Right here you want to put J is equal to J plus 1. Or, take that would work. But the same that, you need the same thing as J up. Those are the same exact thing. So here, we're actually, in reality, this, right, would be able to get it up. If you increase J by 2, you could print it out. Another way to print out even. So, if you actually ran that, we don't need it. Another way for and the other one is do while. If do while, it actually does it while. It at least guarantees you to do it. This one is going to check the condition. If the condition isn't true, it'll never execute. If you do while, it'll do it first, and then check the condition. If the condition is true, it'll continue on. Do you want to go ahead and try to do while? Yeah. Yeah, you actually type to it like a minute. Yeah, use the while. And then actually put do, and then take space, and it's going to click that one, and I'll show you the format. That's the format. If you don't click it, you get a structure.
Okay, I think scanner is a class used to get input. So I think maybe we'll do an example with scanner, so that way you can work with people, user input. Basically, what you're gonna do is, you can ask the user for some information, input a number, for example. Then you create a scanner object, attach it to a new scanner, and get whatever the system is in. It's basically, you'll put that in your notes so you can remember how the format of it. Then you would set whatever input variable to whatever you're getting by the user. For this simple example, we're just going to create a scanner object, get the user input, and output exactly what the user says, so we can just see how it works. So if you can actually just copy this, do a system out, and ask the user for input. So for example, input a number. Yes, actually here I'll start from scratch. So file, new, class, and you can call it user input. I'll do example. And make sure you include the public static void main. I'm gonna tell you this, I'll do it line by line. The first thing you want to do is ask the user for their input.
Just informal, I rather before you import the package, that's,
One thing that's nice about Eclipse is the imports are important, but as you're working and as you don't have it imported, it's going to tell you, well, what is this? And then you'll have the correction to be able to do that. So I want to show you too, and how you don't have to memorize imports, but so the first thing you want to do is first just ask the user for input. So do a system out, and please give me your name. And go ahead and run it to make sure it's running. Okay, is everyone good? So now what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to capture what the user enters in. So you'll want to set a variable that's going to hold that string. You can't take numbers from people, but we'll talk about that afterwards. We're just going to get the name of the person first. So you're going to want a string value. So create a string input. And we can just hold it there. We're not going to actually put it set to anything yet. Now is where we're going to use a scanner object. So to use the scanner object, we're going to start by typing scanner, and we can call it in, or scanner. And then we're going to equal to, well, actually, let's stop there. And now that you see that it doesn't know what scanner object is, it's not an object that you've already created. It's not, and it's where import comes into play. So if you right-click on it, it should give me a good error. Or if you go to the little error button, oh, actually, I need it here. Let me do it this way. So now, just because it needs to be clean. I'll say, see the first thing that comes up?
Double N.
Yes, double N. So the first thing that comes up there is it says, do you want to, the first option is importing scanner. So once you do the first import scanner, it's gonna fix your problem. What's that?
Yeah. But what you would really, like, normally, if you're working in just a text editor, you would have to do the import, include the import, oh, why can't I do it? And then at the top of your document, you'll see import Java utility.scanner. What's that? But, I mean, you don't have any errors, right?
No.
Okay, well, there's a really nice thing when you have a problem called Google, and I'll tell you that. So we're going to see why that's the problem. I'm going to check it out. I mean, I think whenever you do have a problem, you're going to have to get used to also using Google, because it's a resource that's really, and especially at this intermediate level, you're able to, there's so many answers to your different problems that you have, so Google is really great. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure it out. So basically, the import, maybe I'll add scanner, Java there. Before I do that, I want to see if there's any other errors, so maybe we'll continue on. Well, that's what it is, but it looks like, I mean, you're not, because you don't have an error, it shows that it's importing. What's that? Yeah. So what we're going to do is we're going to just try to go one more line further and see if it actually is even working. So we can see if it's working, and then we can go back and figure out what the problem is. So let me go back to that. So all we're going to do is just continue to add the next line. So scanner equals new scanner system.in. Maybe it's something possible that like high import. This is weird. Well, I'm gonna actually do this. Yes, I want to flip again. Find something weird. Anyway, we go back to the law, okay? Now we're going to try and get input and just output the input. So, input is equal to scanner, lowercase, dot, next, line. You said so just to go over it while you guys type it, the first line we're just setting a variable input, setting a type string, then creating scanner object from system.in, then capturing input to variable input, and then displaying input. Now, if anyone runs it, are you getting an error with running it?
Yeah.
What's that? It works?
Yeah.
So, I mean, my only guess is that it's part of the library, maybe the versions of Eclipse, and it's being, well, we're going to Google it, though.
No.
Well, there might be different versions that we have, but it's just strange that it's not part of, I'm sorry. Okay, well, I'm going to leave it displayed and. But before you do that, what is it? Next line, change up. Yeah. 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 Oh, yeah. All right. No rush. So the one thing probably to remember is going to be this line. To create a scanner object, and then you're setting that scanner object to the system in. Most of the time you won't be using the scanner object getting used as a command console. You'll be creating input a different ways or passing information different ways, creating a GUI and accessing from the GUI to input information and getting some test fields, and this is just basically when you start creating.
Can you read something from different points of view? Instead of swimming, can you read any file?
Oh yeah, we'll get there. You all read files, and you can parse those files and figure it out. I just thought maybe now is a good time to show you basic getting input and putting it inside and then outputting it. So we'll add the calculations, and then maybe that'll be like a good most of the day. But yeah, no functionality, because you're even ask the user, what have you here already good now, you kind of understand this. You're going to want to ask the user, give me a number, okay, what do you want to do, or what do you want to do? You want to add, subtract, multiply, divide, and then once you know that from the user, you can say, okay, what's your first number? And then, what's your second number? And then say, okay, what's the third number? Then you have a whole bunch of active groups. I think one thing, if we actually get all template for a calculator, then you guys can now use the calculator and do that from your perspective and your own. So is everyone good there? Getting input? Now, the one thing is, when you try to get input, you can't get numbers. So let's try to change it around and try to make it into a number. So we're going to say, instead of input being a string, we're going to say an integer value. So then we get an error here. You can't convert a string to a number. I think there's even an option in here.
there is the option of next int, which will take a number from the user. Instead. So if we ran that, and it says what's your name, so maybe I shouldn't put that, but sorry. Now, although that is a good way to use Scanner and ask for the integer type, it's not really the normal way to do it. I mean, it's available there, but you get an issue when you're trying to take numbers and you're taking strings and numbers from the user. So the best way is if you take it as a string and then convert it to a number. So a very popular or a way to do that correctly would still be use the next line again, but instead you're going to use integer and then parse integer. So it's going to take a string and convert that to a number. Because actually, let me fast forward or go back, to show you a reason why you wouldn't. So let's say you have, right now you're asking the user for a number, and we run it again. You say, give me a number, but they don't want to give you a number, they give you a letter. You're going to have an error. They can easily, get a corrupt result. So if you change that then to where I had it, and no matter if they give you a string, you're going to take and convert it. Okay, I'm going to explain what's going on. So the next thing, which is coming up later on, is a try-catch block. Basically what that does, it puts all your input into a block, and if there's an error for some reason, it catches that error, and it gives output. It's actually part of tomorrow's lesson, but I think this is a good example to show where you would want to use it. So basically, you're going to try this out, and if for some reason it gives you an error, you're going to give back a response.
So I'm gonna go ahead and change it to string input, and then whatever value that is. So instead of, oops, equal to, sorry if I'm confusing by just moving things around. Yeah, probably because I'm moving things around. Yeah. So try input is equal to, okay. See here, I'm changing around too quick and going back and forth with the previous one. But for here, I'll go back to the thing. Because basically, what your reason for that is you put string as input, and then over here you're trying to turn it into a number. That's why I went back and created two different variables. I'm going to actually capture the input of the user and put in a string, and then capture the value and store it in a value variable. So in case that for some reason they give me a letter, then I can go back and I can check the value. So to fix your error, what you would do is create integer value underneath string input. So the line number 35. Just like minus line 36. Creating a variable. Oh, I added it after we moved around. Exception is a row of it goes in exception. And I'm going to actually, that exception E takes care of all exceptions, but a parse exception is a problem we're going to have. And I'm going to narrow it down to parse exception. So if for some reason I can't convert that string into a number, then I'm going to know that there.
So parameter exception is combine the long right?
It categorizes all exceptions. When I got all that right lettering, it was an exception. And actually details the right exception. The exception takes care of all of the very exceptions. You don't want it probably to be more. And then handle different cases on different segments. And actually exception is part of the class, but I'm getting a head start showing you a good example of where you would use it. So then maybe when I still have a bunch of stuff to do tomorrow, it's not so bad.
Because we have to cover arrays and a lot of different. So basically, I'm going to start from the top and just read what's going on. I'm asking the user for a number, and then I'm creating a variable to get their input. Then I'm also creating a variable to take their input and try to put it to a value. I'm creating a scanner object from the system information coming into the system. And now I'm putting input to whatever the user put into the system. Now from here, it's different because I'm going to try, like the reason to try is because you're trying it out. And if for some reason you try it out and it throws a problem, you can catch that problem. So it's called a try-catch clause. So you try something out, and if it gives you an error, you catch that error. So you can catch all different types of errors, and that's how you would handle exceptions. So I'm going to try to turn it into a number. And if everything works fine, it's going to continue on. If for some reason it throws an error, it'll be caught, and it'll go to the next line. But if it doesn't throw an error, and the catch will never be caught, because it never would throw a problem. So in this instance, if they put a number and it converts properly, it's going to give back what they gave you. But if it throws a problem, it's going to say, well, you did not provide a number, you provided, and whatever the input was. So if I run it, and I put a number 10, it's going to say I gave me the number. But if I run it again, and say my JF, it's telling me you didn't provide a number. So there was an error. Now, as opposed to, one thing common what people do is when they catch an exception, they just print off it's called a stack trace. And instead of it giving me a nice clean response, it's going to give me all this junk, which is what you originally got. That's the default when you get an error thrown. But we don't want that. We want this. And I'm going to go again and just make sure you guys understand this. There's a lot to
Oh, okay, so this input you want is a string. Well, what's that? Oh, maybe it's still like, because of here, right here, oh, you gave me this. So, right here, this needs to be string. So it needs to be string input, right? Yeah. Yeah, ensure value. So value is equal to. Oh, cool. Because you're not saying value. Then over here you want input equal to. So copy this to 2 lines, separate that, copy it, and then paste it. Maybe separate that. No, just the same place. Oh, right. Okay. Or you could just paste it. It's still remember. So enter, paste it. I'm only going to have to do that framework. But now input is equal to scanner.com. So this one take out our integer. The integer and part, from the integer, just from the integer. For this one, you want to take out that, and you want, no, not the scanner.com. Yeah. So what you're doing now is you're putting the input variable and making it set to whatever you use it. So you do, yeah. So to delete the parentheses. That one is going to be. So in parentheses, no, not the parentheses, yeah. You don't need it. And then no. So what we're doing here is we're putting the input equal to whatever the user is. Now, in input, we want to parse, instead of parsing scanner, we parse the input. Can you change the input? Oh, no, so this one, highlight scanner dot next line, and change it to input. Without it. Just do input. Yeah, we do that, and then do the other two that are right after it. Oops. No, you want input. Up 91. Okay, now put input. So with what you're doing here, okay, now change that and put the value. This one? Yeah. Let's explain what going on with that thing that you doing. So you're taking the input, which is a string, and you're getting what look at the scanner, what comes from the user. You're setting it to the variable input. Then you're setting the value equal to whatever the input is converted to number. So value of number, that's a string. Now you print out, you gave me the input, but you want input to, you want to put input outside the quote, because this is my quote. So it's going to give back, give you the input. You want to actually use value. And then there. gave an input. Now over here, if this for some reason goes to an error, you're gonna say, not that tree, comment that out. Then you're gonna say, you did not provide a number, you provided, yes, that's very good. But the reason this is happening is input may never like catch, it may never, if something happened wrong, you have to take the whole thing and put that outside the shop. Alright, yeah, on the fourth of July, that happens. No, the fourth of July. Up, up. No, up. Yeah. Take it. So now, so you will have input no matter what, because it happens before the trial. So now if you run it, try it out. So, give the number. You can try that number, right? But you can't stop. But yeah,
I don't understand the spec first, because there's three different business methods, so which one do I use?
Oh, basically, what, this actually is what you got originally, and I just wanted to show that that's what your original error message would have been. But you kind of caught it, so actually, if you put the current tax rate and you, uncomment it and run it, you'll actually see the error that you would have needed to catch. So, run it, and now put in another letter. And you'll see that it will tell you an exception, number format exception. So you can actually number format exception, instead of catching exception, you can catch number format exception. So now change it over, and instead of catching exception, catch number format exception. The exception. Oh, you can copy that. How are you doing? Good. Yeah. You guys have been on pretty good. What's that? Well, right here, you're not actually doing anything. You want to put a value to that. Because you're not providing a number, but you gave me a number, so if you rerun it, okay, give a number. Let me give you 5. Okay, input. And here should be value. Because here shouldn't be English if you want, because even though that is a string, so later on when you do a translation with it, you can't do that string. So change that to value. And then you run it. And now run it. Because there. You never initialize value. You put it there, but you never put a value. But when you do here, there's no value. So now in that line, this right here, you should got our entity value. So that's right. But this one here should be on try. The try should be, oh, I don't have that. Oh, I can get that far.
I wonder why you asked that. Sorry about that. Okay, let me fix this up a bit. That's what it's supposed to say. Let me finish commenting it so that way it's clear. Number. Is that better? Okay, I'm gonna come around now. What time is it? Do you feel confused at all? Do you feel like you're understanding it, or does it feel? Yeah. Oh, you don't need to do for now. Just highlight this. You can go back to it, but for now, you can end up. Yeah, so just a little over here now, and you can save it. Now you can work and you go back. And what you should do is that to do. To do. Right here. So now you run it. And then you give a number. Oh, actually. Are we a number? Okay, so there you go. Try to do it again. Right. Does everyone, are you guys done? Try, if you could try now, see if you can get user input for them to do a loop, and then from the user input, if they say yes, if they say yes, continue on one after another for a number. If they want to do it again. You guys, you understand what I mean?
Yes, but to do that. You should compare the user string to method, right?
You could do it different ways. You can make it basic enough to ask for a number, or you could do asking keep the string equal to.
Okay.
Yeah, you would have to use the string.
Yeah.
Good. But or you could, if you want to use a number, you could use a number too, like say 1 or 2. If you can use 1.
Maybe you can do a range, give me number, less than 5, I will do this one.
Yeah, something like that. It's a very good. If you want to do something, well, I'm like something circles off that. But let's see if you can continue it. So you said the method? Yeah. I'll just explain it better in a minute. Kind of like give you guys it. So run it, and then try a letter. So you put a letter, and then enter. Okay, so what, see, it's throwing an exception. So the purpose of the try is to actually enforce the format, right? What is it actually? Oh, okay, correct. Yeah. So when you're trying, you're setting values, you work feature target input, correct? That's perfect. And then now, give me a number, so you give me the number, yeah, that's correct. Now, if there's an exception, oh, you print the factory, okay, so actually, I'm commenting that out, because that's on your error message, we don't want to provide it. Put a comment, the factory. Because I think I can show you what now here. Okay, yeah, okay, now, yeah, yours is fine. I just put it up there and messaging. So it's perfect. So you go better. Yeah. Okay.
So I'll put the framework to make it less So now let's say we take all this input and method, call the method. Oh, actually, I'm going to do that. We're going to separate it so it's a little more, as you work, you want to separate in certain functionalities, so that way it doesn't get so complicated and messy everywhere. So we're going to actually, now we're going to make a method that's going to check what a certain value is. So in this case, because we're checking for a value of a number, so check user input. Actually, let me cut it and put it over here. So first you'll ask the user, give me a number, and then so here you might want to check, actually, maybe do it before you. So the first thing you want to do is check user input and perform that function. Now the function, it's not declared, so we're going to want to create the method, check user input. So all this code, we're going to cut. And we're going to put it inside here. So basically, you're calling a method now to check user input. So now if you run it, make sure it runs all fine. It should still do the same thing. So we'll start there. We're just taking baby steps to get to the right place. A lot of the point is using functions so that you can redo the functionality over and over and over again. So if you're done with that, you can try to think of, now, how can we go and ask the user maybe 10 times for a number, or 3 times for a number? Getting there? You always, whenever you tackle a project, you want to think of how you're going to take baby steps to get there, and whether when you just open up, create a class, create a hello world, and just to get you on the first step to do the next thing, to get to the next step. Because if you try to tackle a problem all at once, you're going to have too many problems at once.
Is there a special reason that you make this method private?
Oh, because when I right click, it's custom to make all methods private because it's just more protection. That way you can't have other classes that are, and so when I created it by just doing a shortcut, I created the method, I just called it, and then I right clicked and it creates the method. It did it private. And we haven't started talking about that yet, but this should be public, especially just in this case. But I just did it as default, and but as you work with it, you'll realize that all your methods should be private, and only times when you use, like, that's the reason of getters and setters, is you access the variables publicly by getting and setting, but when it comes to actually accessing them themselves.
This is the encapsulation, right?
Yes. Yes. So we haven't got there yet. Yeah, I think tomorrow we're going to talk about like arrays and working with arrays. We got a lot. Just let me know how you guys are, where you guys are at, so I know to move on. Did you guys separate it already? Like, is the array separated in a function? Yeah? Check to make sure.
check input. So basically, all you're going to do is call that method. So now you need, you do, no, but this isn't inside where's the check input method? Where is that? Where's the, it should be right there, but it's not. If you go down, down. Oh, there it is. Oh, that's how it's not there. So what you're gonna do is go, I don't want you to do that. Go and select from there. No, from there. Yeah, well, actually, you can do that. Oh, okay, I'll figure it out. But go all the way up and stop right there, yeah, and cut. Okay, now put that aside. Put that right there. Because that's a function of call. What we're trying to do is we're trying to separate that function, so we can call that function over and over and over and over, as long as the person wants to. So we can do something? Yeah, you can move one further. Now go to the bottom. The source format. So run it and make sure it doesn't run. I'll get running in. But you know, what number you write up? Yeah.
Just when with like a user key, you must put it like the letter or whatever. What a user key with a field, you put it over there and just accept, you just accept the letter, no number, or this, or a
We could do that, the validation.
Yeah, I can go with that.
Yeah, we're not, we're not. We're just working with them. So this is how we have to validate it, crash method. You could actually, when you, define these variables, that you actually create a function and you use some, you could print R, and you use R, you take those in a string, and scanner, you can call it the method.
Yeah, this is just QA, field validation, you can put just letter, or just number, or combine together. Or like a social security, you can do just three number or zip code, you can just do the number, not the letter.
Yeah.
So it's just,
It's kind of minor,
yeah, something.
But so with the separation, you know, now the next thing is you can take, now call that function 3 times. And then after you call it 3 times, exit to say goodbye and print out goodbye. And you can do that. So I think you can try to ask for a number 3 times, and after you've done it 3 times, say goodbye. And then you can exit. So, no, it's an action. Okay, wrong. Format. Opening up. Again, I want to move down. No, you actually need that big add. Go up. Oh, you have it 12. Okay. The main, so you don't want it. Oh, you cut it. Yeah, so you cut it. So that is it. And now you call, and then. You get it, right, and then you run it. Okay, so you see how it's separated? Where this is called, this says call this method. Now, can you do it where you call this method 3 times, and then after you call it 3 times, say goodbye? So what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna create a loop.
and do it for 3 times, and then after that, when you've done it 3 times, you want to say goodbye, and do it now, say goodbye. Already think about it. You got it? Okay, so what I did is I stressed that we have to have comments for all our methods. So you actually click on it, you can add your comment, and we'll talk more about comments after tomorrow. Where we can have them, but if you want to go ahead and click it and insert it, you can start to insert the comments. So you have, okay, wait a minute. So if I equals 0, I is greater than 5. Well, that condition is going to be satisfied because I is 0. That's not going to happen. Now I can be equal to 1, and your condition is as long as I over 5. So it's going to check the condition, and if I is equal to 1, okay, now is I greater than 5? No, because it hasn't. So you want to check condition. If I is less than 5, then everyone's true. And then every time I can increase. So now how many times, before you run it, how many times will that? Or you can do it. Exactly. So if you put I equal to 0, if I is less than 5, it will less than 5 times. Or you just change to less than 5. So then try it. If you should count, you will put 1. Count is less than 3. Count is equal to count plus 1. Count is equal to, either you can count plus 5, or count is equal to 5. So that way. Now check. There's no code in the route. Oh, no, there is. Is it format? That's different. So, okay, that's different. So, don't go ahead and try. We're back. Okay.
Yeah, I was talking about condition.
For your homework, if you can make it, if you can try, I think it's small. Try to see if you can take the function and check from the user if they want to continue. So if they type in 1, then they want to continue. If they type in 0, they don't want to continue. So you can put no, so you can grab from the user input of saying whether they want to continue or not. And if that happens, then you can ask them. Instead of doing it 3 times, see if you can do it to where we ask them. And then with that condition of them saying, yes or no, 1 or 2. If you use 1 or 0, that way it's a number, use that too. Because comparing strings is another.
You can use char as long as y for yes.
Yeah.
And for
Yeah, you could use char and probably. But I don't want to use a string, you just well, yeah. A string is the reason for it is a string is an object, so the yes string might not be equal to the yes string.
Yeah.
So that's why it's used as a
Sorry for taking a little longer today. And email me if you have any questions or anything.
Oh,
Can we do the change based on sensitivity of this Java or for instance, we don't want to use string because yes, it can depend if it is capitalized or not.
Huh?
Right?
I'm sorry.
The Java is case sensitive, for instance. I don't want to read the, this and this will be the difference, input from the,
Yeah.
from the user, right? So maybe if I set this yes and the user give me this, so it won't be accepted because I'm expecting this. So to eliminate this, can we do it instances?
To uppercase, do something like that. So it'll convert it to uppercase.
Okay.
So,
Oh,
but at the same time, they could be, because they're different
Yeah,
objects,
yeah.
it still would cause a problem.
yeah,
And so you have to use a method for string. And just to eliminate all those
yeah,
issues,
yeah.
just try, use a char, like you were saying. The char is equal to,
Yeah.
because then you're checking, you're not checking the single character.
Okay.
Might-
Or maybe I can, not, I cannot change everything, so I can use this or operator and I can ask for both of them.
Oh,
If
that's true.
I can say yes or yes.
But see, because they're not, like, if equals to doesn't work, you actually, you use equals, instead of, yeah. I mean, just run it.
Yeah. Chart will be just
Well, I mean, I think this point, you can mix, the boot with the getting input, I mean, the getting input with an extra added that, you know, I don't want to like record you guys stuff, but trying to get it.
okay. I like solving problems.
Oh, I know, and it's actually all. Yeah, I know, that's why I like programming. And Eclipse is great at just helping you find in your problem.
Yeah, actually, I prefer sometimes using editor, text editor, because,
You get used to it.
yes, because I took an interview, it was for internship. Even for internship, they didn't want me to use Eclipse or remind anything, just they asked me to just open text editor and compile everything from scratch and import all the libraries.
Okay.
But,
Yeah.
you know, it was for, even for internship, they
I
asked
think
me to do.
because it was an internship, they were being more like hard on you guys.
Oh,
Because
okay.
in the real, like, you have Eclipse to your resources. You have your resources.
Yeah.
In the real world, you really have it.
No,
Like, even
everything.
to today, when I was sitting there using the scanner, I was like, oh, wait, I haven't used that in so long, so I was like, I have to Google this.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, when I started programming, I used it, but now you have everything at your
Yeah.
Have a good night, it was,
Everything like that.
see you guys tomorrow.
Yeah. So we have APIs, so we can check.
That's what I mean, you have, and plus you have Google resources. A lot of the more accurate testing, I think that's available now for like pre-screening, is where they let you use anything you want to use. You're more like you have a time limit, which I think that makes a lot more sense. So they allow you, okay, here's your time limit, go nuts and solve the problem. But the problems aren't easy enough where you can Google the specific answers, but they're enough to where you can maneuver your way. And having the time limit is really how they can gauge where you're
So how, you know, if they ask a question and I cannot answer that right away, if I write some pseudo or something like that, how, you know, how efficient that will be, how sufficient that will be for the interviewer. For example, they ask me a question, I can do it, but I just do some pseudo. I do that.
It depends on the actual position. I know when I applied to Ericsson, for my Ericsson, they had me like, they gave me a bunch of questions and stuff. And they weren't really that caring about the picture of PhD, Java, Java, and all the different technologies. They really care, they didn't care so much if I got it right or wrong, but what I put that I knew, and then that was sufficient because they knew I had a basis of, even if they didn't scanner right, or if I didn't use a certain message right, I knew that it was there.
Yeah.
So, and that, I mean, it depends, I think the fact that internship, they may have been more picky, because they're thinking that you know, that's what they wanted to, but I mean, they were probably asking for like, you know, higher upper level.
Yeah, they want to see that you have fundamental, you know, or not, just,
Yeah.
they want to check that the fundamentals, just, you need to know what the, you know, compiler is or constructor is, but, if you know that, because they can do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I like to do that.
You just get back and try it.
Yeah, just now, time, I just opened the text editor and I typed by myself and remember.
Yeah, that's good. I use Evernote a lot. Every time I do a new technology or something, because, you know, later on, if I don't use it, I'm gonna forget. But I use Evernote, I type all my, like, every time when I go back, I redo another Evernote note. I use that as a basis so I can jot it in that note. Then when I'm having to do, like, it's good because you keep all your notes together and you search all your notes and stuff. And it's uses, well, I mean, it's nothing, all it is basically, you know, like having a notepad file that you just refer. But you can like email PDFs to Evernote, and like you can write presentations and notes. It's really good for note taking. That's what I
Okay.
It's still such a basic program, but I mean, I've heard since I started using it all the time, and it's pretty popular. It's a little confident. And like for right now.
I know it's complicated, but I use their.
And you know, once you start getting used to it, then it becomes like a very skin in the dot. Like now, let's say you have notes and it was someone's code and picture. Evernote will actually convert that picture into text, and then you can use it as a searchable. When you search, you can actually search the pictures for stuff.
They use machine learning technology to do that, right? Because
Yeah, but like even with having Mac, like on MacBook, you have a little icon, and you can do a screen capture, and then you can just do a bunch of symbols all over everything. It's just cool. And if you have an email, like let's say email and you want, I want to get that, you have a specific email address and you email it, and just by changing the subject, you can add like tag words, or you can add date and reminders, you know, like having a little tag. It's a little small thing, but it makes organizing and factor.
I appreciate you are sharing both countries' web pages.
Oh, yeah, I mean, anything that can help you guys, I think, makes me feel better, and, yeah, I mean, I want to see you guys succeed.